Hey guys, this is Harrison,
And I'm Christina.
and we went on the Norwegian Escape March 2023. It was spring break season, to say the least. And we wanted to share the pros and cons of the ship and tell you a little bit about where we went. Left out of Orlando, went to the Dominican Republic, St. Thomas, Tortola, and the Bahamas. There's some facts about the Norwegian Escape. I noticed this says 10 bars, but it's actually 21. We looked that up more recently. We definitely recommend the Escape. This was a really well organized, well run ship. Built in 2015, still feels very modern. There's maybe one or two things we would have requested differently about the ship. Overall, 98% we love this. Stay tuned to find out what those couple things were. So, this was our group. We flew down from Virginia for a much overdue COVID delayed cruise. And now Christina is going to tell you why you should watch the rest of this video.
Our topics of this video are our time boarding the ship, what it means to get free at sea, the amazing Vibe Beach Club. We'll tell you about our aft balcony room, the activities and entertainment on the Escape, our different ports of call, and the Norwegian brand.
So, part of the free at sea is airfare, free airfare for one person in your party. That's what we did. We don't recommend that in hindsight because Norwegian controls when you fly, and so they picked the morning of at 5 a.m. We've heard that that's not a good idea. Now we know why.
My luggage was mixed up in Atlanta and barely made it on a later flight with an hour to spare. This wasn't Norwegian's fault. However, it was too risky because I would have only had my bathing suit and a few items in my carry-on for the whole week if they hadn't been able to find my bag quickly.
So the free at sea is a very good perk of Norwegian, and you should do it, but you can actually remove the airfare from it, and that's what we would do in hindsight. Flying the night before and staying in a hotel, though more expensive, is totally worth the sense of relief. Besides that, the check-in process was actually extremely smooth. Norwegian seemed very organized at the Cape Canaveral port. Security took 5 minutes. They hooked us up with our room keys and the 5 beach club passes, and then we walked on to the ship. That's it. And who's providing the artwork? Do you know?
Artwork is custom by Guy Harvey. This is actually the highest commission he's received for art at $8 billion for this ship.
I mean, that is a big sea turtle. It's a very big sea turtle.
That's just his fee. That's not production.
What do you think? No words? What do you think?
Spring break, no kid.
Spring break, no kids. That is expected.
Later, we made it.
So we got on the ship at around 2 o'clock, which was totally fine with us, but that was because of the delayed bags. And it was awesome finally being on. Norwegian takes your luggage to the room for you, so bringing a backpack with a swimsuit, anything that you need for about 3 to 4 hours while they clean the rooms and take your bags up before they let you in is highly recommended. So let's jump into the good stuff. Free at sea complimentary food, and there was a lot of it. First, starting with the Garden Cafe, the buffet. It's on deck 16, and it wraps all the way around the back of the ship like the letter U. It's very large. They've got different nights that focus on different cuisines. It's open from the moment you wake up until around 9:45 or 10, so we definitely stopped by for morning coffee and breakfast. You really could eat here and be completely happy with the whole trip. That is dangerous. This buffet was so good that we found we were not saving room for the specialty restaurants and the other good things on the ship. And one night, everybody got together and we pigged out, and that was awesome. But I think in hindsight, I would take it a little easy on the buffet and kind of skip it from time to time because the rest of the food on the ship was also so good. Speaking of rest of the food, the MDRs, aka main dining rooms, were pretty good, with just one rough patch the first night. This is the Manhattan room. There were two others, Savor and Taste, but after a really crowded first dinner embarkation night, it seemed like the kitchen was overloaded, moving at the speed of light. They made a few mistakes and the servers were a bit burned out. So we went with the Manhattan room for the rest of the trip because it had a lot more space, larger windows, looked out to sea, better ambiance, live music, better feel. We had great dinners here, and even if you had no specialty dinners in your package and had to eat here every night, I think you'd still be happy. Unlike the Prima that has a fixed menu, the Escapes menu actually changes every night with a couple of fixed options at the bottom. There's tons of options, very personal service, no assigned tables or seating buddies, so we sat with our group each time. Great food, great wine. They brought my sister a cake for her birthday. Each meal took about 60 to 80 minutes, give or take what time you went. You did not need reservations, but you could make them if you wanted to. The night we went to the Choir of Man, we showed up at 5 p.m. right when they opened, let our waiter know we had a show at 6:30, and they got us in and out in 45 minutes, no complaints.
Oceans was the spot. It's a late night spot. We had lunch once or twice here too. It overlooks the atrium, so you can watch all the trivia, game shows, and contests day or night. This was one of Norwegian's best moves, putting an almost 24/7 Irish pub right in the heart of the ship. It's called the Local now on Norwegian's newer ships, but it has the same food from what we hear. Typical Irish pub food, wings, dogs, sandwiches, burgers, fries, but it all came out very fast and fresh. It's kind of astonishing how good each order was. They had it down to a science. This is a great spot for drinks before your nighttime activities. They stayed open, we think, until at least 2 a.m. There's so much to do on the ship that you can almost always find food when you need some. They also had an arcade here with games and bowling, which we did. Just be careful with your spending because each game is a couple bucks. They usually don't label the price before you swipe, and it can add up quickly.
We tried 4 specialty restaurants on the Escape: Bayamo, Cagney's, Teppanyaki, and Food Republic. Before the cruise on the website, they were running a promotion for additional meals, so we bought an extra 2-meal dining package on top of the free at sea. I think it was something like $35 per person, which is a lot of bang for your buck to get the quality of what could easily have been 50 to 100 per person for meals like this. Bayamo is a formal seafood restaurant, and we do recommend it. It may not be our top choice for specialty dinners, only because the others were so great. I thought Bayamo used to be a Latin, Cuban-inspired restaurant just for the Escape, but actually this menu was the exact same as Ocean Blue. Not a bad thing. Lots of fresh fish cooked to order, seafood pastas, lobster, fisherman's platter, fish and chips, etc. We definitely enjoyed it. The presentation was tremendous. Each item you order, they bring out 1 or 2 servers or cooks from the kitchen to your table to present it and ensure it was to your liking, which was great. The free at sea package gives each person 1 app, 1 super salad, 1 entree, and 1 dessert. Again, hardly enough room thanks to that dang buffet and shore excursion food. We'll get to some of that later. Cagney's is a hallmark of Norwegian, if you've been on their ships before. It's their very formal chop house, and it did not disappoint. The only disappointment was there was so much food we could not finish everything. Our group ordered the ribeye, the porterhouse, 2 fillets, which were all huge, some veggie and potato sides, and some great wine. The wine presentation really shines here. We had a wine steward that called himself the wine doctor. He came by to teach us about wine pairing based on the steaks we just ordered, to present the cork, the nose, poured it in this incredible loop-de-loop decanter that we could keep on our table, the whole 9 yards. Listen, this meal was too good. It was basically a Ruth Chris experience, and our dining package covered it all. I remember looking at the bill at the end, and it was something like $240 for the 2 of us. But like I said, it's all covered. So we bought the photo they took of us, since this was one of the most amazing meals we'd had in a long time. We did sit outside al fresco, and on this particular night, we had just left St. Thomas, and the ship didn't have anywhere to be too soon. So they parked it still in the water, very little wind, the moon was coming up. Couldn't have asked for a better night.
Teppanyaki is their hibachi-style Japanese steakhouse and entertainment. The dinner always comes with a show. The chefs sing silly songs as they cook, and they show off their juggling skills with their eggs and cutlery. There's no way you won't walk out of here as full as humanly possible. I would say that even though the food was extremely tasty and overall no complaints, we may not choose this one again, only because, once again, the other restaurants have so much to offer. At hibachi restaurants in general, the menus aren't very diverse. You typically end up with rice and chicken, steak, or shrimp as the main course. The fruit sashimi was pretty cool though, and they had a great Japanese green tea cake with fruit and ice cream that was to die for. Food Republic, on the other hand, was an absolutely exceptional Asian fusion restaurant that we would definitely book again. This is the perfect spot for sushi, pho, street noodles, kebabs, and other Thai and Southeast Asian dishes. You order all your plates and drinks through an iPad, kind of like a tapas restaurant, and the staff bring them out to you one at a time. For the dinner package, they allow you to order 4 items each per person. Again, way too much food, but we loved every minute of it. Believe it or not, this was our favorite specialty restaurant. The iPads were really great to get a good visual of each dish before you ordered it. And even with the iPads, we still had a very good interaction with our servers who were in a great mood. Each dish really tasted amazing. We did not have a single bad item, and there were some really interesting cocktails that were nowhere else on the ship either. Customer service here was wonderful. In fact, we have not had customer service like this in a long time, and we wish more restaurants were like Food Republic. We highly recommend this place, and you won't regret it.
Okay, drinks and bars. Yes, there are 21 of them, and you really can't go anywhere that doesn't have a bar within 100 feet. They say that if you want to feel like your drinking and eating habits aren't actually so bad after all, just go on a cruise. Margaritas, mojitos, coladas, mudslides, bushwhackers, mixed drinks you'd never heard of. All this said, it is important to us as a couple to be mindful of our drinking both for health reasons and indulgence reasons. So, it's definitely a test of your self-control. That said, the free at sea package stands out compared to other cruise lines because it comes standard with your booking. So that means that the item that you're ordering, as long as it's under $15 on the menu, then it's no additional charge. If it is more expensive than that, then they just charge you the difference. Yes, you are paying a hefty amount of tips for the bartenders, but that's really all you're paying. That's baked into your cruise fare. It's not free, but I believe it's less expensive than other cruise lines, and the psychological aspect of all these drinks are no charge to me once you're on board is very nice. We did the math, and it came out to something like only 2.5 drinks per day would cover the price of all those prepaid tips, and that's easy to do. Norwegian does not keep track of your drinks per day, unlike Carnival, we heard, that has a 15 drink limit, which is probably a good thing. But we confirmed with the bartenders that they could not see our previous orders. They'll let you order 2 per person per visit, so you can take one back to your significant other on their lounge chair. Our favorite bar was at the Vibe, but beyond that one, we loved the Prime Meridian in between Cagney's and Moderno. Most people forgot about that one if you weren't going to eat there, and it was a formal atmosphere, razor-sharp bartenders, and had more class than some of the others. Our group also loved the outdoor bars on the waterfront. One had the sustainable cocktails made out of repurposed fruit and other materials basically left over from the kitchen, which was actually really cool to read about. The bars around the pool deck were always super crowded, so we really didn't even go there. I guess it's important to say this was a spring break week, and this is kind of what you get in cruising during the month of March and April. But people really did enjoy being there. They had lots of contests by the pool and some hilarious things to watch. And to be honest, when it comes to the top deck on the Escape, I think the crowd control and just migration of people, especially on sea days, might be the downside here. We did really love this ship, but we know other ships that do a better job of spreading people out. If your cruise is stopping by Great Stirrup Cay in the Bahamas, then your drink package works there as well. This is a drink trolley that they had on the island, and they've got 3 or 4 other bars there too, but more on that later. So, we bought our Vibe passes like 3 or 4 months before the cruise, but they were actually hard to get even then. The website said the Vibe was sold out, but we kept checking back every few days, and one day passes were available again, so we snagged them on the website for $209 per person. Was the Vibe worth it? Most definitely. Your keycard will have special access to open the secret door a lot of people are wondering about, and just imagine walking out of a sea of people and into a calm, peaceful bar hot tub area with only 20 people instead of 200. As we just pointed out earlier, the top decks get so crowded on sea days that there were no open chairs in sight around like 9:30 or 10 in the morning, so things could get competitive. We wanted to avoid that whole scene, and the Vibe is the perfect way to do that. Norwegian has a lower price point compared to Celebrity or Disney cruises, and though it runs around standard with Royal and Carnival, you can save some money booking on Norwegian, especially an interior stateroom, and then take that margin and book the Vibe to get the extra ship within a ship feel. It might just make your whole cruise.
We went to the Vibe on day one, and I've got to say one of the best parts was getting to know the bartenders assigned to that bar, as well as our fellow passengers. Just seeing some familiar faces and having a place to go back to for some laughs and sense of community was worth the price. The bartenders, Ronnie and Charlie, made awesome drinks, but they also got to know us, what kind of food or drinks we liked, and they even brought me some hot coffee when I didn't want any more alcohol. They also brought around small sandwiches like BLTs and peanut butter and jelly, fruit on skewers, and popsicles. Again, the quiet made it worth it. Just a guess, even though there were maybe like 80 passes sold, though that's not confirmed, we only ever saw about 20 people max in there. We took some great naps and just passed the time on sea days or on a port day where we got back to the boat early. They also had these really cool misting machines to lounge in, as well as our own personal hot tub without a ton of people hanging out in it. The bar tended to wrap up around 6 or 6:30, and it was time for dinner then anyways. So if you get the Vibe, I would try to be there in the morning or early afternoon to get your money's worth. I believe you can still open the door to the Vibe at night, but there's no more staff in there to serve you.
We had an aft balcony room on deck 12 that we would definitely recommend. You aren't going to spend a ton of time in your stateroom, that's true. However, of all the balconies you could get, the aft was really special because you got a certain view of the ports that others never got to see. We used our balcony heavily in the mornings for coffee and books and taking photos at night. So we'll show you some of the views we got each morning when we opened our curtains. There's a lot of videos that give room tours, and we're not going to do that today. What we will tell you is that the bed was king size, we slept great, and the aft balcony was awesome. A few tips that helped us around the room were, first, bringing magnets with hooks for the metal walls. This will help you have extra hanging space for hats, swimsuits, and anything you don't want to store in the bathroom. Storage, we actually had enough storage in here, even though we thought it might be on the small side. The bathroom was just big enough, and the closets had plenty of room. We brought a whiteboard to put on our front door so our friends could write us notes or cartoons about their whereabouts during the day. Our group also brought Motorola radios to keep on us so we could talk room to room about our plans without using the Wi-Fi or making calls. This was a great idea, but it didn't work so well when we were on different decks. But if your rooms are close by on the same deck, it definitely works great. We also brought a hanging door pouch thing to keep Christina's many loose articles organized. The last thing we loved about this room was the button lights for the front door. When you wanted to indicate to the room steward, do not disturb, we're here in the room, please clean my room, etc., you could just hit that button on your way in or out, and they were very careful to watch out for those. Now we're going to share some of the photos we were able to capture from the balcony, and we hope that we encourage you to consider booking an aft balcony cabin. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions about it. There's plenty to keep you active on the Escape. One of the draws for me, being a more active person, is that it has a great gym, but also the high ropes course. When you're at sea, often this can be closed due to high winds, but a great time to do it is when you pull into port, if you get back on the ship early from an excursion, something like that. There are no lines at that time, and it can hold like 30 people up there. It's 3 levels if you count the boarding level. They have 3 zip lines, 2 that go over the side of the boat, and the walking the plank thing. We did this twice. It was so great to be so high up, especially out at sea, a very unique experience that not every ship has. Even if you don't want to hang out at the pool deck, you can still stop by and watch the entertainment anytime. The Mr. Sexy Legs Best Dance Moves competition in front of the female judges was super funny. They also have 4 water slides. 2 of them are drop slides, so the floor drops out from under you. And this one, that is a multicolored tube slide. The lines could get pretty long when you're out at sea, so we recommend riding them on port days. They've also got hot tubs spread around different parts of the top deck, including Spice H2O at the very back of the ship. This is the adults only area where most people go to just read and lounge during the day and enjoy the waterfall grotto. We did that once, but usually we would prefer the vibe during the day. However, at night, Spice H2O was a hit. It's an outdoor dance club at sea. That's a very unique experience we hadn't had before, and we made a point to go to at least 3 of those nights. Salsa night, the glow night, and the 80s rock night. There was always something happening, and being that our room was just 3 decks below Spice H2O, we loved how easy it was to get changed in your room, walk up 3 stairs, and get to the party. And believe it or not, we could not hear any of the loud music or the bass if we decided to go to sleep early. Other fun things to do around the ship included the casino and the 678 Boulevard. We were watching our spending, so we didn't gamble this cruise, but we definitely enjoyed the Howl at the Moon piano bar on a number of occasions. This is the place that stays open till all hours of the night, and if you're looking to sing old classics like Sweet Caroline or Dixieland Delight at the top of your lungs, this is where you want to be. The other music venue that got a lot of attention was Sid Norman's Poorhouse, the rock and roll bar that usually got packed out every night. It's true, if you don't want to stand to watch the show or get turned away, you should arrive here 30 to 40 minutes early. Seats do go fast. I wish we had gone more than once, actually, because the band proved they could jam and get us on our feet. They played classic 70s and 80s rock hits, but on another night, apparently they played through Fleetwood Mac's entire album, Rumors. Check out this clip of a lady in the back who carried on singing a Journey song when everyone else stopped singing. Well, I wish I got more footage of that. But onto the Escape Theater. This is where the show Choir of Man was held a couple of nights, and it was kind of tough to get tickets. They're not really tickets. It's on your key card, and it just says you have reservations for a particular show on a particular night. But we found ours by actually going in person to the box office and asking. It was definitely worth it. It was an English-Irish pub kind of show. There's a common theme with pubs on this ship and sing-alongs, and cruises know what people like, and they definitely give the people what they want.
We got off the boat and visited some great spots like waterfall swimming in the Dominican, Trunk Bay on St. John's, Cane Garden Bay in Tortola, and Norwegian's private island in the Bahamas. But believe it or not, we didn't book any of them through Norwegian. We use this website called Viator in the Dominican Republic for this waterfall hike adventure you'll see here. We did this because we waited a little too long to book our excursions, and many of them were sold out 2 weeks prior to the cruise. But thanks to Viator, we actually saved a little bit of money and probably got the exact same experience. The Damajagua waterfall swim starts with a 1-mile hike up the mountain, which takes about 30 minutes.
Ready? Who let the dogs out?
And then you'll wait in line to jump into the cool mountain water with 50 other swimmers. It felt a little bit like the Titanic at the start. From there, I think we did 10 of the best waterfalls, not the 27 advertised, just because the water was a little on the low side. But as you can see from these clips, it was a lot of fun.
This is the cold area.
It was about 50 minutes in the water from the first jump to the final waterfall.
So this is just like the Titanic, right? Yeah, that's what this is. Where's Rose? Nice. Is the red light on? Hey man.
You go far down there.
Yeah, you do. There's Janelle. There he goes. And T-Bone. There he is. Oh, they're coming fast. Oh, that was almost bad. So let me go first.
The authentic Dominican food at the end of the hike was amazing. And we wanted to give a quick shout out to the Iguana Mama team who were super helpful and entertaining during the whole journey. We recommend looking them up. We felt safe with their driving, they were super happy dudes, and the unlimited Cubra Libres on the ride back were a great way to finish a fantastic day.
At the start of the day, we thought our ship had arrived in Amber Cove, since that's what the itinerary said, but it was actually the next dock over, Tino Bay. This one's great too because of the lazy river and free hammocks they have for all cruisers. Enjoy this quick clip of the tube ride of the lazy river.
What do you have to say, Tyler? We're ready. I think I would love it too. I'm coming back. All right, just a little chilly.
Our next stop was St. Thomas. St. Thomas is an awesome, beautiful island, but we decided to do a DIY excursion over to St. John's instead so we could visit a U.S. national park called Trunk Bay and do the underwater coral trail. By the way, if you have a U.S. Park Pass, it works here, but I think we paid $10 to enter. We also had to pay 25 round trip for this ferry you're seeing here, and about 20 for each taxi ride. So it added up, but was still cheaper than an excursion. Trunk Bay is about one of the most beautiful beaches you could ever hope to visit. The snorkel trail is very unique, as you'll see here, but they also had a food shack and a bar that had short lines. Overall, we were just surprised that this place wasn't more crowded, and we wanted to stay even longer than we did. It's hard to leave a place like this, but if you DIY, give yourself at least 2 hours to get back to the ship in case something goes wrong. It didn't, but the taxi driver does wait until he has a full cab to maximize his trip. So we did catch the last ferry of the day, and if we'd missed that, then I guess we would have been boating over to Tortola. Tortola is right around the corner from St. Thomas, and it didn't take the ship long at all to get there overnight. We got off the boat bright and early and looked for a cab, aka an open air truck, up and over the mountain. We'd heard great things about Cane Garden Bay, and again, instead of paying $50 a pop to get over there, we thought we would go the local way. There was great swimming here, and again, such a beautiful location, but with a lot of shops this time. We also discovered a rum distillery nearby with free samples and a tour. Apparently, it dates back to the 1600s when pirates and sea captains were probably the regular customers. This place was old school, but worth a visit. We caught a quick beer at the hotel right on the sand, hung out there for a minute, and then had to head back. It was just a half day in Tortola, sadly. Time for our review of Great Stirrup Cay. Okay, so some of you may know that right next door is Royal Caribbean's very similar private island, Coco Cay. And when your boat is parked in between the two, lots of Norwegian cruisers can look over there and envy because they have a massive 200-foot water slide and a hot air balloon you can see for miles. In my opinion, this jealousy is silly. Great Stirrup Cay really was fantastic, and the grass ain't always greener, y'all. What Norwegian does very well is gives you a perfect, relaxing day at the beach, toes in the sand, without the hustle and bustle and the slides and all the noise. This place is the perfect escape. Oh, I see what they did there. And the unlimited food and drinks with some great snorkeling spots, floating mats, paddle boards, high ropes, zip line. And if you really want to spend massages and private cabanas also, I'm not sure that a water park and a hot air balloon ride would enhance my day any more than it was. The tenders are a bit annoying, I'll give you that, but otherwise this place was the bomb. Dude, the food truck at the back of the island, to die for. Crab or lobster rolls or other Latin seafood things to go, no line. I mean, it was unreal. And that drink trolley with the banana blitz, also unreal. Then, highlight of the day, at the Bacardi bar, we ran into our favorite bartender, Charlie, on the island, the guy from the Vibe. That was definitely a highlight of the day. Our friends also purchased the zip line, and they had a great time. We did it all, man. So I'm not sure I'd be hard-pressed to say Royals Island would be a whole lot better. Don't let the bigger is better mentality convince you that Great Stirrup Cay isn't rock awesome, because it is.
Here he goes.
One other thing to keep in mind is with the tender boats getting from the ship to the shore, make sure you sign up for them the night before as soon as they announce it. And you can do that in the touch screens in the hallway. That way you get to the island nice and early. Lastly, we're going to talk about our impressions of the Norwegian brand, what makes them unique from other cruise lines, and why you should give them a try.
We believe Norwegian ships are cozier than Royal and Carnival. Some would say smaller, but we're using the word cozy to describe both the feeling of being on board as well as the size. In fact, the two newest ships Norwegian just released, the Prima and Viva, are even smaller than the class before, only allowing 3,000 passengers, and it kind of makes you say, All the other lines are exploring 6,000 plus passengers. We believe sometimes bigger isn't always better, especially when it comes to crowds. Crowds were a thing on the Escape, but it looks like Norwegian's latest moves show they value a more intimate experience, and they are trying to reduce crowding. With 6,000 plus passengers on the Icon of the Seas and Carnival Mardi Gras, plus the crew, we actually like that Norwegian is trying to make things feel smaller and more cozy. To add to that, Norwegian did a great job of making you feel part of the community on board, and their emphasis on laughter, fun, and amazing customer service at the meals was very apparent. I guess they focus on the human side of things and try to deliver a luxury hotel type experience without being luxurious. It's no celebrity or princess cruise, but for paying close to half the price of those ships, we felt that they did not sacrifice the user experience at all. Harrison met the GM of the entire ship at Cagney's the night we ate there, and he wrote down our room number and sent us chocolates, all because Harrison said this was our first Norwegian cruise and we'd love to share our thoughts. The GM encouraged us to email him, and he also wrote us back. The last day, we were also very sad to get off the ship and go home. They were playing some emotional music as we disembarked, which made you start to miss the ship already. We felt like we made a few friends, especially thanks to the vibe, and if I were directing a cruise line, that's exactly how I hope customers would feel at the end.
NCL also puts a huge premium on entertainment, and the shows were almost Broadway quality, with actual plots or some kind of narrative that pulled you in, not just, look at these acrobats and ice skaters and their amazing tricks. Even the bartenders and room stewards were always willing to chat with you and were in such good moods. The band at Sid Norman's and throughout the ship would interact with you as well. So it felt like, if you could talk to actors, artists, musicians, and your servers, instead of everything being so transactional, it felt like people actually liked their jobs. So again, the human side of things was prioritized and it showed. As for the food definitely shines in Norwegian. I hardly had a single complaint besides the rush of the first night. There's a lot to look forward to with food and specialty restaurants on NCL. On our next cruise, we would love to do Food Republic again, but we're also hoping to try Los Lobos, the Mexican restaurant, Le Bistro, the French, or Onda, the Italian. So we think NCL is known for their good restaurants as well as the freestyle thing, which basically means show up at the main dining room anytime you want, and as long as you're not wearing a bathing suit, there's really no formal dress code. Back in the 1990s, that was probably a pretty big departure from the formality and structure of many cruise lines, though it is more commonplace today. Lastly, the Free at Sea promo package. We have not tried the drink package on Royal or Carnival before, so we're no experts, but I'm not sure it gets better than having all of those things you'd want on the ship anyways bundled into your upfront price. Like we said earlier, you're only paying for the tips for bartenders, which is about $22 a day. So your total price per person for drinks on a 7-day cruise is around $153, and that is way better than other cruise lines packages to the tune of $600 or more. It does not include Starbucks on Norwegian or special juices, smoothies, or the wine tasting stuff, but we didn't feel that we needed that, and buying them one-off as needed isn't too bad anyways. Plus, the Free at Sea promo also includes a $50 off excursion coupon for one person, as well as some Wi-Fi. It may not have been very good, but hey, it was still free, and 2 special dinners if you're in a balcony. So that is definitely the definition of bang for the buck. Lastly, we want a dialogue with you if you made it this far. Are you going on a cruise soon? How does this one compare to yours? Do you have any hesitations trying Norwegian? Do you feel you might get more bang for your buck on Celebrity or the other super nice lines? We have booked Norwegian's Prima this coming winter. We're definitely excited to try that. But after that, we're game to try any other cruise lines as well. So please make a recommendation. And finally, thank you for watching. Did you jump in here? You're gonna need to ditch the camera.